Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth here with LifeOnFire.com, and today we've got a little inside sneak peek of one of our Wednesday profit activating calls. And so, what's really awesome about this is this message is titled Shred the Past. And Shred the Past, I'm going to walk you through an exercise how you can take things from your past, things that happened in 2014, maybe it's bills, it's debt, and how you can literally shred them. And I'm talking an exercise you're going to go through, and you're going to hear me walk you through a process on how you can literally shred some of these things in your life. And it's also metaphorically for getting rid of old things in the past. So how cool is that? Let's take 2015 to a whole another level by shredding the past, getting rid of that old baggage, and just taking this year with a clean white slate and being able to just keep up momentum in 2015. So here we go. Shred the past.
Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth here, and I'm a kick-ass business coach, and I'm on an absolute mission to help you find your purpose in life, to help you love what you do for work every single day, to help you be the rock star that you are meant to be, to make more money than you ever thought was possible, and to have more time freedom so you can actually enjoy the life that you're living. I'm here to help you set your life on fire. We're going to jump to shredding the past from 2014. So this concept actually came from, and it's something that I did at a church, and it's crazy. It's like a friggin' Tony Robbins event at this place. But basically they brought in shredders, and, we sat down and went through an exercise and wrote down the things we wanted to get rid of. And it seems simple, right? You're just shredding a piece of paper with a bunch of words on it, but it represents and means a lot more than that, because we hold on to all kinds of crap. So what I want you to do is I want you to literally grab a piece of paper and grab a pen, pencil, and go ahead and grab that now. And we're going to make a list of all the things that we want to get rid of and we want to shred and leave behind in 2014 and start fresh and so clean in 2015. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and then I want you to just type in the chat box and just give me a yes if you're going to do this. If you're going to do the exercise, just pop in the chat box and say, yep, I'm ready to shred 2014. I'm ready to leave behind stuff that's not serving you. So just type in the chat box yes, and let us know. I love it. So we've got Paradis. She says, yep. We've got Vidal. Yes. Can't wait. We're going to be hanging in just a little bit, man. I'm fired up for that. Valerie shredding away Jeff Fauchot. And Karen, she says, yes. And Simon, let's shred. Brennan, absolutely. Patty Keating, all in. Ryan Secco, hell yeah. And then we've got John with a heck yeah. We've got Dimple with yes. Secco, go big. And my man PJ, heck yeah. So, all right. So this is super easy. And it's one of these things where sometimes, don't let simplicity be something that like allows like a negative thought to think, well, that's too freaking easy. There's no way it's going to work, right? I've done that at, personal development events and with strategies. It's like, how could grabbing your wrist and jumping up and down at Ignite and saying yes after the third time work, right? But how did that change our state, So grab the piece of paper, pen, and here's what I want you to write down. And we'll take a couple minutes, and I want you to write down things that just don't serve you, things that you're sick and tired of hanging on to. It could be a fear. It could be financial stress. It's like if you're working your butt off and you're not making the amount of money that you deserve, or if you've been carrying debt for a while and you're so fed up and you're sick of it and you just want it gone, write down debt, write down the bills, write down the name, and it could be debt. It could be a loan that you want to get rid of and pay off. And it doesn't mean that it's something that you're expecting it to be gone tomorrow, right? It can be anything in your life. You can be bold. You can think big on it. Here's an example. This exercise, and it was really fun when we did this. We had, because this is an annual tradition. I didn't realize this. I wasn't going to the church last year. An annual tradition, right? They had a whole countless stories of people that shared their testimonies about what happened from the shredding party from last year. And it was unreal because and here's just one, story from a guy that I know personally, and he, shared this story with me in depth after the whole thing. He's my chiropractor. His name is Dr. Matt. You'll meet him at our mastermind. The guy is one of the most incredible entrepreneurs I've met in my entire life, and a family guy, and just someone who, honestly, I mean, he's just someone who I'm modeling in life. I mean, he's just incredible guy. And he's got a giving heart. He's a hardworking entrepreneur. He does big things. And he came to this shredding party, if you will, right? And he got hit with a tax bill from the IRS for $50,000, and it was completely unexpected. And his accountant just screwed up. He talked to his accountant. He apologized, and he ended up firing the guy, and ended up being a big mess. And $50,000 that was owed, and it was that's a huge number. And he was having a baby, and so it was not the right time to get that big bill. I mean, it totally sucked, right? It's like I'm thinking about a big tax thing that we've gotten, right? So it's like it totally sucked. Not happy about it. And he came to it, and he actually brought a copy of the actual bill, right? And they went through the whole thing, and they talked about it and the power of doing this, and he shredded it. And from there, he just had the belief that it was going to be shredded, and there will be some kind of outcome down the road. And I think it was about 2 weeks. All of a sudden, he ends up getting another letter from the IRS. And what was so crazy is that his accountant acknowledged that they screwed up, and that everything appeared that they owed that money, the $50,000, right? And then he gets a letter from the IRS, and they essentially overturned that and realized that the IRS screwed up. And he ended up going from having to owe $50,000 to getting $1,500 back as a refund. And it was like completely just this crazy experience where, it was just not, of course, what he was expecting. Now, the takeaway from that, could that be some kind of just crazy, mysterious fluke or whatever? Sure, you can believe and think of it however you want to believe and however you want to think, right? But the way that we look at it is, at the end of the day, when you do this and you truly put your faith out there, it could be to the universe, doesn't matter what you believe in, but if you have the faith in knowing that by shredding this, that these things will be shed. And if it's someone that, we've got folks that are suffering from things that happened as a child from a parent. I didn't forgive my own father until about 1.5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy that we carry this shit, right? And so it's like, by shredding stuff from the past, and that's the step that we're taking right now. But then the next step is, it just comes down to belief. And what the hell do you have to lose but just believe it's going to work? You know what I'm saying? And for some of you, or some of us, you can believe that God will actually help, or whoever you believe in, or whatever that is. But if that's not, you could be a complete atheist and just believe that the universe will somehow, some way, some shape, some form, help you actually shred those things out of your life. Now, there can be something that happens. We might hear a story in the next 30 days where, one of you are like, dude, I don't know what happened, but I shredded this particular thing, this bill, and you know what I mean? Whether it's a bill or whether it's something physical, that you may have a divine / miraculous random thing happen where you end up with a totally awesome, amazing outcome. It could be a series of things, right? And with having this faith that it's going to work, and also having just hard work and having a great plan and the VIP day moving forward, it's like all that stuff can help you get to where you want to go. But whether it's tangible things like bills or debt, or just beliefs or fears, or things like one of them for me was comparison. And it's like a couple times I found myself comparing my amazing, beautiful fiance to like my ex. Now, it's like nuts to do that. Like why on earth would I ever do that? And it's like Megan has far exceeded my expectations beyond my wildest dreams, or never. It's perfect, but it's like, how is that serving me to compare her to someone that's you know what I'm saying? Like, something as simple as that, if you identify these specific things: judgment, comparison, debt, it could be a fear or like not taking action. What if you just shredded not taking action? What if you shredded making excuses? You know what I mean? What if you shredded, quote, not being a morning person? Fucking shred that. You know what I mean? Like, we get up 30 minutes earlier or an hour earlier. How's that going to change 2015 for you? So take the time now, and you may be already kind of writing stuff down, but we're going to give like a solid, just whatever comes to your mind. This is just like stream of consciousness. Just write down these things, and we're going to give 2 minutes to just be quiet for a second and write some stuff down, and truly just think and kind of get into the right state of mind of what do you want to leave behind in 2014, and jot them down on just one piece of paper. And we're going to go on to the next step from there. So I'll see if I can play some like Jeopardy style music in the background. See if I can pull it off on my phone here. All right, ready? Counter starting now. I don't know how that music came through, but I hope it was soothing and amazing. But all right, so type in the chat box. Let's hear some of the things that you're just sick of. Let's hear the things that you're about to shred, you're about to get rid of, and just totally just leave behind in 2014 so you can be just fresh and clean in 2015. So just type in the chat box. What are a couple things? What are you guys shredding? What are you guys getting rid of in 2014? All right, so we have the fear of not being good enough. Awesome. Get rid of that. How's that serving you to hold on to that? A couple of relationships. That's awesome, man. I mean, there's people in our lives that don't serve us. I mean, shoot, there's hanging around with the wrong people, and it's like friendships that don't serve us anymore. The feelings of lack. I love that. Let's get rid of that. Money, worry, and distraction and second guessing. Let's get rid of that. It's like we can have the power to make a decision, and then you make that right. I mean, it's a choice. It's a choice to be and feel confident. It's a choice for Dimple to say, you know what, I'm a fucking badass, and I'm no different than the badass I was 3 years ago when I was rocking that, sales job and making deals happen. And it's like, it's a choice. And all right, so having to be the hero and save the day, in I love it. My job and being dependent on it, awesome, well done. And we've got failure in comparison. We've got sacrificing my health for business, not making the money I'm worth, credit card debt and clutter, messy business systems. I haven't made any money yet despite running a business. Fear of being ripped off, fear that something bad will happen to me, financial stress. And what's so wild is like, now granted, we're all normal because every one of us does this stuff on a regular daily basis. I mean, it really is nuts why that we think about this shit all the time, but it's true. We do, right? But
when the more it like us hanging out, the more that we get together, the more that we hang out, I am beyond committed to my growth. Our team's committed to growth. You're committed to your growth. And we're on a relentless mission to keep getting better and optimizing ourselves and helping you optimize yourself. And as you're going to go through 2015, you're going to find that all this stuff, it becomes less and less and less and less, and you become more and more happy as the weeks go by in 2015, to literally get it to the point where this is the absolute best year of your entire life. And you look back in 2016 and January 7th of 2016, and you say to yourself, holy shit, I can't believe what happened. I'm so grateful that I fully immersed myself and plugged in, and I made a decision to just make 2015 awesome, and I trusted, and I allowed, the coaching to seep in, and I went with it, and I trusted my gut. I surrounded myself with the right people, and I let these other things that don't serve me go. And I made decisions where, if I was being negative or I was thinking the wrong things, had the awareness to just stop myself in my tracks, leverage my moment on fire, get in state, and switch that and keep going. And so cool. So now what we're going to do, and this is very, again, simple and basic. Take that one piece of paper that you already have and take one good look at it. And it's going to be the last time that you're going to look at these things. And I want you to just take it and rip it right down the center, and just rip that thing right down the center, and then take the other pieces and keep, how you can keep ripping something, it turns into these tiny little pieces. I want you to rip that fucking thing into so many little pieces that it just turns into a little bit of a mess, just tiny little tidbits. Just rip it and rip it again, put them together, rip that again, put it together, rip it so many times that it becomes this stack that you literally can't even rip it anymore. And that's you just shredding that thing into little pieces, little smithereens, and just rip, keep ripping it until it's these tiny little pieces. And I will be joining you as well, even though I did the exercise once. Why not do it again? So let me get my thing out here. Can I then burn them? Yes, you can. We actually are considering adding that to Ignite at the next event. After we, break through a board, we're considering having a giant bonfire party with like hot chocolate and burning them afterwards. So, all right, here we go. So rip that freaking thing. Get rid of it. Peace. It gets a little tough towards the end, but just keep going. Keep ripping that freaking thing. Little pieces. Rip it up. Because it really is absurd that we hang on to these things for so long. And even something like forgiveness. And this is something that, for me, I had just, resented my dad for so long and held on to that. And what's crazy is when I worked with Michael Burnoff and he helped me essentially reframe that story. And when I realized it was like, he is actually, I used to always, glorify my mother because she used to always say things like, you can do anything you put your mind to. And really, and she's amazing. I'm not to take anything away from Mama Celeste, but what's crazy is that my father has given me some of the biggest gifts in my entire life, which is work ethic. And he gave me this desire to want to prove people wrong and to become an entrepreneur. And even though I never heard the words, or I shouldn't say never, but I didn't hear the words like, I'm proud of you and, and all that stuff, it made me do things that were crazy to try and seek it. You know what I mean? And it's like, I would try and go so big and do whatever I could just to hear those words. And then I realized it's like, what an amazing situation. If I had this dad that was just so, lovey-dovey and just, giving me blue ribbons for every little thing that I did that was like not even good, then I wouldn't be the guy that I am today. And it's like, how cool is it that no matter what our past experience, no matter how bad or negative or whatever it may be, that thing is actually something that you can just turn it around. And it's a choice to turn around in your head. And
forgive the person. And there's so much power to that. And I've experienced this with a couple people that had things that were holding them back on VIP days. And it's very liberating. And it's no different than shredding, not talking to someone for years. And who cares? Like, get over all that shit, So, because it's not serving us now. So, all right, cool. So, all right. So we had a lot of you folks saying that felt amazing. Good. And now the next step from here, very simple. Next step is, how is it going to hurt you to just freaking believe that this can work? Like, think about it. That's all manifestation, visualization, manifestation, the law of attraction, all that stuff. It's belief. It's just belief. And, and you don't have to have any spiritual background whatsoever. You can just believe in that stuff, that it will happen based on those universal principles. Other people, you can believe in a higher power. It honestly doesn't matter. To each his own. But the cool thing is that it does all revolve around belief that it will work. Because if you sit there and you rip it up like, that thing's not going to friggin' work, it's like, I already know what your outcome is going to be. I think we all do, right? If you assume it's not going to work, then I promise you it won't work. But if you sit there and you look at that little pile and you say, I just ripped that thing to shreds, and that's not going to hold me back any longer. It's a simple metaphor, but if you just believe that you're good and you're good to go, then you can actually move forward. And what's cool, and have an awesome 2015. What's cool is that this year we can be bold. This year we've got a support system. If you're hearing my voice and you're on this line right now, it's like you've got a support system. You've got people that are know how to market. You've got people surrounding you that can help you get to where you want to go. And it's a time to be bold with our visions for where we want to go. And sometimes, we don't know how we're going to get there, but if you have enough faith, it will show up, and something that was implanted in my head was buying a house this year. And it's like, that thought has never even crossed my mind for this year because, number one, San Diego, literally, we have to buy a house that's like going to be $1 million house. I mean, there's for $500,000, you get a tiny little dump of a home. And I hope, if anyone's out here in San Diego, I maybe I shouldn't phrase it in this way. It's probably not the most politically correct way to say it, but like, for $500,000, it's like you don't get much, you know what I mean? And you don't get much land or anything like that. And so it's like, if we want to buy a house, it's like, got to be like $1 million house. Now, that seems out of reach. And it's like, but that thought got implanted in my head by my, mentor. And I'm like, I started listing all the reasons why that wasn't possible this year because, I mean, we're getting married, there's a cool 50 grand. I mean, we've got a honeymoon and we've got all this stuff going on. It's like, our events are not going to be cheap, things like that. And then all of a sudden he came back and it's just like, why not though? Like why? Like, if you really put your mind to it, is it possible? Is it like possible? And then all of a sudden I started just to kind of open my mind to it and how, like, I wasn't sure about like how on earth that this could happen, but I started to just believe that it was at least possible. And once I started thinking that it was at least possible, then I was like, screw it. What if I just played with this a little bit, right? And part of manifestation is having goals and visualizing these things, or a vision board. That's why we post our goals publicly. So then from there, all we did was we went and I looked on realtor.com for an hour. I used to be a realtor, so I looked around, I found a beautiful house, a little further outside of where we kind of want to be, but whatever, good school system and stuff. And Meg and I went there on Sunday. We drove to the house, walked through the open house, and a couple of very interesting things happened. Number one is her and I had a day and it put us in this really fun state of mind that she had a major breakthrough with her business and where she wants to go. And that was just cool enough. But the other thing that happened is we went there and we experienced it. It's like, if you've got that big goal, like if you want a house this year and this is the year that you're going to buy a house, like, why not put yourself inside one? You know what I mean? Go walk it and feel it, and some of the how will show up. So as we did that, a couple of these weird things started popping out, started happening, right? So from that moment, we walked through and got to know the realtor, and he just got engaged and his fiance was in there, and we started talking. We just ended up, having a great conversation. And next thing you know, he's like, I really like you guys. Like, you guys are so fun. You're outgoing. Like, I really enjoyed this, and he's like, I'm a realtor for the show House Hunters. And would you guys like to be on it? And I'm sitting there like, I mean, how funny is that? I mean, being on the show, like, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I think, and he's like, that'd be probably great for like your business and stuff. And it's not about being like on the show from like a vain, like, oh, look at us, we're on a show kind of perspective. But what it is that to me is a funny little nudge from the universe, or I believe in God, and like a little nudge saying like, all right, mofo, like now that you have like this opportunity to be on the show, like now you're doing it. Like now you're getting a house this year. Right. And it just, to me, that was a weird universal thing. Like that was like, all right, so I guess I am being nudged to like get a house this year. I still in my head have no idea how the heck this is going to happen. But coincidentally, I shredded some money beliefs and, debt or different things before, right? Not more than a couple days. Actually, shoot, it was what am I saying? It was the morning. We went from there straight to the open house. So it was like not more than like an hour afterwards. And so from that situation, I said, you know what, maybe there's something to this. So, the next step from there, I started thinking about like, financing. I didn't think, based on what I knew about financing in San Diego, and how the mortgage industry get all messed up, that I thought I needed 20% down here in San Diego, because that's what it was, a year and a half ago. And that's all gone away. You only need 3% down now. So like, okay, that's realistic. Like I can see how I could make that happen. Next thing, it's like I'm at the chiropractor this morning getting adjusted. And we're just joking around, just telling the story, what happened since the shredding thing at church, and Megan, with like the new job or internship at the church she's taken, and blah, blah, blah. This guy all of a sudden says, dude, he's like, do you know Summer? He's like, yeah, she's got a house for sale. And he's like, I bet you could afford the rent. And why don't you just do a lease option where your lease payments goes towards your down payment of getting the house? Like that thought had not been in my mind before. Like, could I pay the same amount of money that I'm paying right now for the place that I live and just have an option to own it by the end of the year? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you see how all these things just start to appear and happen? And it started with just shredding some old beliefs and then expanding my mind to saying, screw it. Like, why not think big? If we just trust each other and we just think, you know what if you could do anything you put your mind to, and you start to just have fun with that a little bit? I mean, why not? And what's wild is that as we do that, and we all experience this, for those of us that were at the Ignite event, that when we dabble with doing anything we put our mind to, some really cool shit starts to open up. There's not a single one of us that looked at that bed of glass at Ignite and thought that it was a good idea. You know what I mean? Like it was like, how are we not going to get cut by this stuff? Because it's glass. But at the end of that, we were all thinking pretty big. So I share that story because we just shredded some stuff that we don't need to hold on to. So the next step is just believe that it's gone. Believe that it's shredded. Why not? Believe that it's done. Have a little faith and believe in that. And then think a little bit larger, right? I'm not saying to set outlandish goals, because that doesn't serve anyone if they're too outlandish, but think big and just kind of sit back and like daydream a little bit and think, what the heck could you do in 2015, and go towards it? Because sometimes the how, or I shouldn't say sometimes, when you believe in something, the how will show up. It's no different than me tattooing my goal to sell a business by 30, and miraculously that actually happened by 30 because I manifested it. So there's a lot of like law of attraction stuff within this little message here, but just think about that and think big for 2015.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed this episode of Life on Fire TV, and I really, really encourage you to follow through in those actions and to actually to do it and to shred that thing up, because I know that since I've done this, I've had some really cool things that have happened. I shred all kinds of different beliefs, and I shredded bills and different things, and I've had breakthroughs since. And it's these little tiny micro goals, these little things that you can do to create impact in your life. So rock out the exercise right now. Do it while it's fresh. If you're driving, walking, jogging, whatever it may be, make this the first thing you do when you get back. So shred the past. Let's have an absolutely amazing rockin' 2015. And looking forward to catching up with you on the next episode of Life on Fire TV. Talk to you soon. Cheers.
I'm here to help you set your life on fire.